Today we're talking about forgiveness and forgiveness actually as a spiritual practice, and talking about really this idea of moving from a space of keeping score to starting over. And I think one of the things that I love about forgiveness is that it's kind of multifaceted. That if we first, I want to talk for a second just about the idea of forgiving and accepting forgiveness from God. Because I think sometimes it can be really, really easy, at least for maybe some of us who struggle with being hard on ourselves. I can think and know with all of my head that God forgives me, that for God so loved the world, right? Like I can know that in my head, but man, do I keep a score against myself. And do I just say, man, I'm like the worst person sometimes. The self-talk that can really just go into it of me not really accepting the forgiveness that has been given to me by God. And that really is we are people that go out and interact in our world. And that's like the second part as we think about forgiving other people, that really we have to enter into a space of recognizing the forgiveness that we have been given as followers of Jesus, that we can live in that truth and that reality. But I think sometimes it's hard, again, for me to move from my head to my heart on that I think that God is sitting almost like at a desk chair in the principal's office, and that he's angry. And then as I come in and I let him know what here I messed up again, that I think he's going to turn around the swivel chair and just look at me and say, you did it. You really messed up. And I think when I recognized that picture of God that I had, it was a really freeing moment for me. It was a freeing moment for me to realize, oh, that's not who our Heavenly Father is. But I think for a long time, especially in my early formative years, because of that picture, I had a hard time accepting forgiveness from God, and then in turn, wanting to offer it to other people. As you think about just forgiveness and accepting forgiveness from God, am I alone in that? I do see some head nodding, so I'm hoping maybe you feel that a little too.
Yeah, I think it's really all about maybe our view of who God is, and how we were taught the gospel growing up, and do we sit in a space of thinking about God as we're the sinners in the hands of a wrathful, angry God, or are we the beloved children who I messed up, and when God sees us walking down the road, runs after us with love and compassion. And that second one is the one that Jesus describes and points us to so often. So it's kind of reshaping maybe early on formation that went inside of us, and learning to be reformed in that true and right knowledge of who the Father is.
Yeah. And I think if you haven't had a moment in your life that you've maybe thought about those early narratives or pictures really of God, that now's a really great time for you to think through that. Take some time away and really just ask God, hey, what picture comes to mind when I'm entering into a space of confessing sin, or when I'm feeling defeated? What picture of God comes to mind? I think that's a good starting place. And then I think as we interact in the world around us, that at times, because myself, I'm really good at keeping score in general for myself. So as you would guess, I'm also pretty good at keeping score for other people too. And that it can be really hard for me to freely give forgiveness. And as I think about the Lord's Prayer comes to mind, of just the line in it that says, forgive us our debts as we also have forgiven our debtors. And those two go hand in hand. It says, forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Like they're not separate, but I think sometimes in my brain, I think, okay, I can live in this land of, I'm really gonna work on like the vertical, God forgiving me accepting that. Or I compartmentalize and think, oh no, let me just like be really good with the world around me and be great at asking for forgiveness, offering for forgiveness, when it's a both and. It's so fascinating. But practically speaking, offering forgiveness to other people in the world around us, what does it look like for you when someone's hurt you on a practical level?
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, now that I know you keep score, let me just say I'm sorry about not answering that team's message a couple weeks ago. Really sorry about that.
Oh man, yeah.
But I think one thing that I do often with the keeping score is I really do it really well against kind of faceless, nameless people in my life, right? You know, the stranger that I see that, you know, does something that kind of knocks me off course or makes me upset in traffic or in the store, or, you know, that group of people that, you know, always are doing that thing that really annoys me and I just, you know, want to be angry at them. Like, I think that's the people that I keep the most score against is the people that really, I don't know, but I'm able to keep an angry grudge against
like
them.
the other.
The other. So learning to be, practice forgiveness towards those that you know, have no idea that they've impacted me in any way, but it's impacting my soul, and just to sit down with God in that space and to work through forgiving those.
Yeah, that's really good. Well, I would just encourage y'all as you enter into this week, take some time to think about the narrative that, or the picture that comes to mind when you think of God. And then maybe take a minute to really think about, is there anyone in your life that that you need to offer forgiveness to? Do you need to work on that list like me that you're maybe keeping or holding against other people? And do you really need to bring that to God and say, hey, God, will you help me keep a short record of wrongs? And will you help me believe the best in others? And see how that goes for you this week.